Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Marie, and in today's video, I will be reviewing and recommending a book titled Breaking Bad Habits of Race and Gender by Sarah Marie Stitzlein. I chose this book because it offers many interesting and eye-opening perspectives about identity, education, stereotypes, and social issues that are still relevant today. So in this video, I will briefly explain the book information, the content of the book, its strengths and weaknesses, the target audience, some new perspective I got, and why I recommend this book for you. So let's get started. Breaking Bad Habits of Race and Gender was published in 2008 by Rowman and Littlefield Publishers. This book discusses how people's understanding of race and gender is shaped by habits, environments, and repeated social experiences. The author combines ideas from education and social studies to explain how society influences the way people see identity. One thing that makes this book interesting is its main idea called flexible habits, which means people should stay open minded and willing to change harmful ways of thinking instead of holding rigid stereotypes. Now that we understand the general idea of the book, let's move to the main content. Oh, the book consists of 6 chapters, and each chapter discusses different ideas related to race, gender, identity, and education. Chapter 1 is Introduction. In this chapter, the author explains that problems related to race and gender still happen in schools and society today. The author introduces the idea of flexible habits, which encourages people to become more open minded and less judgmental toward others. After introducing the main issue, the author explains the concept of habits more deeply. Then, in Chapter 2, Deviant Habits, the author explains that habits are learned ways of thinking and behaving that develop through social experiences and environments. The author shows how these habits influence the way people understand race and gender. Then, after discussing habits, the book then moves to the topic of race in Chapter 3, a historical look of the making of race. The author explains that race is shaped by history and society, not only biology. The chapter also discusses how stereotypes and racial categories continue to influence people's perspective today. After discussing race, the author then continues with gender identity in Chapter 4, titled Redoing Gender. This chapter explains that gender is formed through repeated social expectations and behaviors. The author also emphasizes that people can challenge and change traditional ideas about gender. And the next chapter is Flexible Habits of Race and Gender, which focuses on the main idea of the book, which is flexible habits. The author explains that people should stay open to learning, reflection, and change instead of holding rigid stereotypes and prejudices. Finally, the author discusses how that ideas can be applied in education, like what written in Chapter 6, Cultivating Flexible Habits in School. In this final chapter, the author explains how schools and teachers can help students become more open-minded through discussion, communication, cooperation, and critical thinking. Overall, the book argues that education can play an important role in creating a more inclusive society. Okay, now that we have discussed the content of the book, let's move to its strengths and weaknesses. One of the biggest strengths of this book is its deep discussion about identity, race, and gender. The author explains complicated social issues in a meaningful and thought-provoking way. Another strength is the concept of flexible habits, which encourages readers to reflect on their own perspective and social behaviors. I also think this book is very relevant today because issues related to discrimination, stereotypes, and inclusivity are still widely discussed in society. Besides being informative, the book also encourages readers to become more open minded and socially aware. However, despite its strengths, the book also has several limitations. Some chapters contain difficult academic language, so certain parts may feel challenging for casual readers. And then the book also focuses more on the ideas and reflection than practical classroom activities. In addition, because the book was published in 2008, some examples may feel slightly outdated compared to today's social issues. Even so, the main ideas and messages of the book are still very valuable and relevant. Okay, then let's move to the target audience. In my opinion, this book is highly recommended for education students, teachers, researchers, and readers who are interested in social issues and identity. This book is especially useful for future teachers because it explains how schools influence students' understanding of race and gender. This book also offers meaningful news perspectives. After reading this book, I got some new perspectives. I realized that race and gender are not simply natural identities, but are strongly influenced by habits, environments, and social experiences. I also learned that education is not only about teaching academic subjects, but also about shaping the way students think and interact with others. One thing I really like about this book is that it encourages readers to question stereotypes and social expectations instead of accepting them automatically. For me, this book is not only educational but also personally eye opening. And finally, let me conclude this presentation. So, to conclude, Breaking Bad Habits of Race and Gender is a meaningful and thought-provoking book that discusses identity, race, gender, and education in a critical way. Even though some parts are quite academic, the book offers many valuable ideas about how society shapes identity and how education can help people become more understanding and inclusive. I would definitely recommend this book to education students, teachers, and readers who are interested in social issues and critical thinking. This is the kind of book that not only gives information, but also changes the way readers see society and themselves. Okay guys, thank you for watching and hopefully this video inspires you to read Breaking Bad Habits of Race and Gender for yourself. Bye!